Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. I hope you're all good. I'm Angeline, your host. This is Relatable Stories, where we talk about the issues that affect women and try to demystify the taboo topics in order to just cultivate self-love. And so today we are going to be talking about um, being happily married. There's a lot of talk around what is being happily married. There's an interesting story that we're going to tell you now, that even happily married people sometimes feel they can't say it because um, we've been talking about how marriages aren't stable and they're hard, etc. But it's very interesting for us to understand what it is that we're all trying to reach, the goal being happily married. What does that look like? So I'm going to bring on the platform my dear sister Sandra. I've introduced you guys to her throughout the week, but um, she's going to tell us more and help us to unpack this interesting, mind-boggling topic that we have this Sunday. So please feel free to comment in the comment section, be with us in the debates, ask questions, tell us your relatable stories because it helps us to understand what it is that's going on. So Sandra, welcome to Relatable Stories. How are
Hi.
you?
Hi, Ange. I'm good. Hi, everybody.
So happy that you finally made it. I've been trying to hunt you down this whole this
You know
whole
I'm
year.
covering some, right?
I know, but being a lawyer, I mean, girl.
It's a different world, child.
So just, I mean, I know you. You're amazing. But the guys don't know you. Just tell them a little bit about yourself, what you're about. I know I did tell them, but some of them just joined today.
All right. So, I don't know, most basic stuff. My name is Sandra, and I'm a lawyer by training and a mom during the day and the night. I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own business, and I'm a wife, I'm a feminist. There's so much to me. It just depends on which day of the week you find me.
Yes, don't try to debate with Sandra. She's always going to
No,
argue.
don't, please. I've got time when it comes to that.
Okay, so I mean, bring it, guys. Let's argue with her. Let's hear what Sandra has to say. So, I mean, we were talking about being happily married the other day, and you told me something interesting that even people that feel they're happily married do not feel that they can say it openly. And I felt hurt somehow because I never thought about it, that we are forcing, or society is forcing people to not be able to express themselves authentically, which is something that we're preaching because we are probably being one-sided. So we wanted to understand, for you, having been able to even tell me that you're happily married, how it feels like in a space where everyone is just like, marriage is bad. It's so crazy out here. How does that feel? Do you feel like you can't then say, I'm happily married, and why?
Okay, I think it's a bit of a tricky space, right? I think most of us in any conversation you have, particularly with the older married women, right? People always talk about how men are this, men are that. It's like a let's bash men festival out there.
Mm,
And if you claim to be in a good marriage or to have a good husband, it's more like it's a matter of time. I'm certain was it's as if we're all just waiting for the ball to drop. So it becomes
right.
very uncomfortable to say, look, I'm happily married because it's
Mm,
like, oh no, he just hasn't cheated, or you just haven't caught him cheating,
right.
or whatever, right? So it becomes difficult to be out there saying, okay, I'm happily married, because a part of you also starts to question maybe you're the crazy one. And if you say
Right.
it out loud, what's gonna happen when he eventually messes up? And then people be like, oh yeah, yeah, who did you think you
Mhm.
were?
Like, are
Yeah.
you different? But the thing is, I'm wondering, do we actually know what being happily married is? So I wanted us to share your story in the same sense that you said you feel that you are. For you, what does that mean? And what you, when you say I'm happily married, what are you saying?
Okay, I think first of all, like when people say happily married, right? I think people have TV expectations of what happiness in a marriage looks like.
Right.
It's I think you always talk about self-love and stuff like that, right? And I
Mm.
think it starts with that. First of all, Sandra cannot outsource her happiness to Peter, right?
Right.
I
Now we
am.
know who's your husband.
Yes, my sweetie. Yeah. I cannot outsource my happiness to him, right? I have to be happy as Sandra first before I can be happy as part of a couple, right?
Right.
So, because if I'm not happy, I can't expect somebody else to make me happy. And if I'm going in with bad vibes, I'm probably going to make everything sour as well. So,
Right.
for me, happily married, for me personally, is about the relationship that I have with my husband. I
Right.
think the most important thing that I think makes things work for us, that makes me say I'm happy, is before anything else, he's my friend.
Right.
And that friendship is what makes me happy. It's not an everyday thing, it's not a constant. I'm not like, I'm happy every single day that I wake up or something like that.
Right.
But it's the knowledge that this is where I want to be.
Right.
This person is my cheerleader. He
Mm.
is a good friend. We can talk, we can share things. I don't have to feel some type of way around him. And
Right.
it's difficult. Happiness is not tangible in that sense. I'm not going to be like, oh, because he buys me flowers every day and then, he does all these fantastic and amazing things or something like that.
Yeah.
It's it's a work in progress every single day, right?
Right.
So I can't be happy if he's not happy. So
Yeah.
he has to be happy for the happiness to be in the relationship. I also have to be happy. So it's a let's work together in this thing. And
Right.
for as long as you're friends, I think the happiness will come. It's there.
Okay. I want to
Yeah.
ask everyone, what do you think happily married is? What does it look like to you guys? What is it that you think? I mean, you mentioned that sometimes we borrow our definition from the movies and we misunderstand. But so I picked up from what you just said now is that happiness is not about the other person; it's an internal thing, and this is something that
Yeah.
we've just been talking about here. But essentially, when correct me if I'm wrong, I heard that you're not defining happily married as you being happy all the time or you
Mhm.
being happy with your partner. You are saying you're still happy to be with them because they're your friend. And so I don't know, but I've never thought of it that way. It's always been whenever someone says I'm happily married, I'm picturing them just smiling and laughing all the time instead of them saying I'm committed to this marriage because nothing has made me or has made me shift my decision to be with this person. I don't know. That is kind of what I got from what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, okay, look, like I was saying, right, it's even difficult for me to really explain what I mean by this happiness or whatever.
Right.
Because there will be days that you're not happy with a person, like you're not happy with their behavior or something like that. But
Right.
it overall doesn't take away your happiness in the relationship.
Mm.
Like, okay, and you're my friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're in a happy friendship, right?
Yes. We are happily friendshiping.
Yes. And that doesn't mean that every single day we're going to enjoy each other's company, right?
Okay.
It
Yeah.
means that even if I'm upset with you for the next 2 days, I still love you.
Right.
And I still know that this is where I want to be. But I
Right.
think it also comes with one of the other important things is, the respect in the relationship, the understanding in the relationship. All right. You get to a
Yeah.
point where you know your partner well enough to know that he or she could say something hurtful, but they probably don't mean it like that. You
Mm.
understand their character well enough to know that, okay, he's probably saying this just to piss me off or whatever. So you
Right.
take it as you take it as that. You're not going to, if you are with somebody, right? I'm not going to be upset with Peter for the next 2 weeks and not speak to him for 2 weeks. It just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Because he's my friend, I need to share what I just saw on TV or what I just saw some lady doing on the street.
Yes.
So that means
Yes.
I can't stay upset. And I don't know, man. I don't know if what I'm explaining to you makes sense.
It is making sense because for me, happily married is now become a myth. So I'm trying to hear from you guys and whoever else understands what happily married is in the comment section. I also want to ask the audience as well to say,
Mhm.
are you happily married, and do you feel that you can say to people you are? And just tell us from your perspective. Sandra has given us her take on it. Why you feel you can't do that, and should we stop telling people we're happily married, or should we? Why should we do either or? But let me just go on this comments and see what the guys are saying. Sandra, someone is saying, I'm hearing this. Happiness in a marriage is when both partners intentionally seek their happiness, then let it overflow to their spouse.
Mhm. Mhm.
Ooh, I feel that that is
Yeah.
like exactly what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So find yourself, have your
Mhm.
self love before you engage in a relationship with somebody else and get to marriage. Someone is double clicking on marrying your friend. Friendship stays when the spouse love is being tested. We always
Mhm.
find way to our true friends. So
Yes.
in your situation, how does that look like?
Yeah, okay. In my situation, it looks like I think what I previously mentioned, right? I think sometimes when we're in relationships, we forget to cut each other some slack. We forget
Right,
that the other person is just human.
right,
But you find in your friendships, we are not as hard on our friends, all right?
mm, right,
So you find that in these like marriage relationships, whatever, love relationships, whatever we're going to call them, if
yeah,
your boyfriend does something, you're going to be mad as hell. Don't talk to him, walk out of the house, bang it, whatever. But you don't do that
right,
with your friends. Why don't we do that with our friends? Because we know
mm,
it's irrational, right? Like
yeah,
it doesn't make sense for you to be mad at your friend and decide to slap them.
yeah,
But why do other people find it okay to do in a relationship? I think, particularly as women, we've come to a place where, to a certain point, people feel like it's okay to be physical. Like it's okay for me to slap him, but it's
yeah.
not. Why is it okay? Why don't you slap Chipo when you get mad at her? Because it doesn't make sense,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Plus, should punch me, Chibo. If you are here, tell them that won't work.
I wonder if you would then accept it if your male partner says, "Why are you slapping me? I'm going to punch you." You won't
Right,
accept it, right?
right,
Yes.
right,
So I think that where this is why the friendship is is the most important aspect of this love relationship, because
right,
for as long as you're friends, there are certain things you will not do because they're not acceptable. You're also going to be more forgiving and more understanding of your partner just being a human being. You
right.
have you have normal expectations of a human being. Like I don't know if you get what I mean. Like
I am, and I'm actually thinking about it. That I think as women, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes we come in because we have that expectation of the marriage to be something that fulfills us and gives us happiness that we were seeking to find. When we get there, we put so much expectation on one person that probably you shouldn't. I don't know. I'm not an expert there, but I don't think that you should be expecting things that you should get from your peers, your friends, from your
mhm.
husband. There's certain things that you can expect from him as your friend and all of that, but you have to keep your own personality, your own life, so that you can get some other whatever validation if that's what you want from elsewhere, and not just like pile it on one person. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Um,
yes, I think that's actually very important. A lot of women also tend to lose themselves in relationships. I'm not just
right.
going to speak of marriage. I mean, any type of like romantic relationship, most women tend to lose themselves in that. Now, all you
Mm,
think about is John and whatever, right? And because of that, you've stopped being Sandra. Where's Sandra in all of this? Because if you've got your own life, you're
yeah.
going to be less concerned about the smaller things. You're going to be less controlling. You're going to be less of just in somebody's business.
Right.
So maintaining who you are with your own friends, with your own life, also gives you a certain type of happiness that you can also bring to the table because you're your own person.
Right.
Your
Right.
Sundays don't have to be made up of watching Chelsea playing Man U when you don't even know what the 18 area is. You can spend your Sundays watching movies with your friends because that's your life.
Right.
Otherwise, you can also it becomes a bit too much. I can't have my husband tagging along to get my nails done or whatever.
Right. Right.
But women
But we
expect,
expect we expect
yes,
them to be all these things for us.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And you also expect him to want to go watch his soccer or his strippers or whatever with you. Why?
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. Yeah.
get your own life, bring your own
Yeah.
happiness. He's not going to be
Right.
able to do that for you.
So bringing the common theme is friendship, bringing your own happiness. Josie here is saying, happily married doesn't look or mean the same to every couple. It's about if your expectations are being met, and when they are not met, if you can discuss it with your partner in a safe space and an amicable solution is found.
Yes.
That is profound.
No, okay, that's actually a really great point. So, like yesterday, I was at a baby shower, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, it was like people must. Okay, she's like bride to. Well, I mean, they paid Rora, so she's bride plus bride to be plus mom to be or whatever, all wrapped in one. So
Yeah.
at some point, it's like, okay, so people should give her advice on either like the baby or like getting married, right?
Mm.
And I was just sitting there listening to everybody giving her advice about you must do this for her husband, you must, wake up and cook for him or whatever they decided
Yeah.
to advise her. And the one thing that really struck me, the advice that I gave her, also spoke to the comment that we just saw here, that
Yeah.
a relationship is a very personal thing.
Right.
So sometimes you don't have to take every advice that comes along because what works for one couple doesn't work for everybody. So you also have to always remember that relationships look different. So does happiness.
Yeah.
Happiness looks different. Some people are happy when they wake up at 3 a.m. to cook for their husbands. I'm not. That's not happiness for me. My
That
happiness is
doesn't sound like happiness.
well, but some people are okay with it, and
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
like they feel like it's their job to take care of their husband, or in this way or that way. But it doesn't follow for everybody. So
True.
the same way, relationship advice doesn't always translate. You can't transplant from one relationship to the next. It's really about
Right.
the people that are involved. And I think it's also the same thing where being happily married is concerned. Maybe somebody else who's just looking can come look at me and my marriage and think that we're not happy because it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
fit their definition of happiness. Maybe
Right.
their definition of happiness is completely different from my definition of happiness. So I think
Okay.
it's also important to just have that realization that relationships are different, happiness is different, but I think there are common factors. Look, you're not going to be in a relationship where your husband or your wife beats you up and be happily
Right.
married. I just don't think they can coexist.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. So where there is no abuse, there's a strong foundation of both parties being happy, and there's a friendship that has been established. So where you decide what is fun or what is good for you,
yeah,
is different. And so now I'm hearing another thing that another theme that is very important right now is not to compare. And
yeah.
so maybe to the audience, is it why we don't also say we are happily married because we feel like it doesn't really compare with anybody else's sort of happy? I don't know. But when you do look, yeah,
It's possible. Okay, because I feel like, okay, look, even when you're like on social media and you're just watching what's happening there, right?
right,
There's, for example, women are constantly posting like maybe husband bought her a car and
yeah,
or a house or whatever, right? And people be like, oh my God, these guys are so happy. The husband is so amazing. And to
yeah,
people, to some people, material things equals happiness. But we don't know,
yeah,
like, this is social media. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes. We don't know
mm,
why that car was bought. It can actually be happiness. I'm not discounting that. But I'm
right,
just saying happiness looks different for everybody. So where the car can be happiness, sometimes it's not.
right.
Uh, Sometimes it is. So yeah,
Yeah, we must stay away
yeah,
from
from
comparing.
making comparisons, yeah, from making those
Yeah,
comparisons, because my happiness could be like, a walk in the park,
yeah,
because Maybe that's what we can afford, but it doesn't mean that we're not happy.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
The someone saying being able to communicate with each other when things are good and bad, and still loving each other despite the difference in opinions. I particularly like this comment because I feel it sums up everything that you guys have been trying to say. If you are the person who's able to continue to communicate amicably, like conflict resolution, especially, um,
Yeah.
you will be essentially happy. I think like there's no there's no depression or stress around that marriage if you are able to communicate things correctly and you're like sorry in a good way, because you can be sad and upset with each other, but you know ultimately you're looking out for each other. You always know that this person has your back, and so that can give you a sense of peace, and maybe that's the happily married. I don't know.
Yes. No, yes, communication and I think respect in how you communicate with each other is also like
Mm,
very important, because I think for as long as you have respect for each other, and I'm really going to say it's important for the respect to go both ways.
yeah.
I think like in our culture, I'll use the term very loosely. You find that there's a lot more concentration on "Kuterera baba," who, I mean, whatever. He's the most important person in this marriage. Of
Yeah.
which, if we do it that way, it just means one person's happiness is going to be compromised, right? But where we both respect each other and each other's opinions, and we can communicate our different opinions and still be able to respect the difference in opinion, then we can move on and, still be good.
Mm,
And
yeah.
yeah, right.
Okay,
And also,
I'm hearing that one. I am hearing that one
yeah.
because we did talk about the patriarchal society that is ruining some of our relationships, and some of these things are so embedded in our culture and
Mm,
the way that we present that we don't even know, even as husbands, probably they don't even know sometimes that they are taking their women's rights or the freedom to express for granted, and therefore
mm.
that suppresses someone's happiness just by the mere fact of knowing you have a person that says they love you but don't want to make you or don't want to validate your opinions or your feelings. And
But
so that respect
yeah, yeah.
aspect.
Yes, and then, but also like this might be a little off, but then it also just reminded me of the fact that I think, especially where marriage is concerned, a lot
Yeah.
of us women get married for the wrong reasons, right?
Okay.
And ultimately, that will impact on whether you're happy or not. So you find women will be like worried about their biological clock. They want to have kids, or everyone's on my back asking me, "Guti, yeah, Sha, you're not 30, whatever, and you're not
Right.
married and stuff like that." So we're getting into these marriages not because I found a person that I feel like, you know what, this is a person that I feel like I want to share my life with. I want to
Right.
partner with this person through this journey of life. But we're saying I need to have kids. I need for my mom to stop bothering me. I need to
Yeah.
become
Yeah.
Mrs.
Yeah.
you know and
Yeah.
well, already the foundation of that marriage is not a foundation that can reap happiness. It's one
Mm,
that will probably reap bitterness and all types of other things. How can you be happy if you married this guy because maybe you wanted to have children? Okay, you
right.
have children, then what?
Mm,
After that? you know
then what?
so it's very important to marry for the right reasons.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So happily married also, we need to look at respect. We also need to look at the reasons why you got married, and if that's not like in the way of your actual happiness. But I was reading an article the other day, and there was a statement that stood out for me. As I'm just going to put it on the screen now. It said it does not occur. Sorry, let me try to yeah. It does not occur to anyone to expect a single person to be happy, but if they marry or he marries, people are much surprised if he isn't. So people don't take notice or even care about Sandra's happiness right now, Angie's happiness right now as a single person, right?
Mm,
But the moment
mm.
you get married, everyone is putting pressure for you to be happy. They didn't
Yeah.
even care about your happiness before, but now people can't even say I'm happily married, I feel, because there's so much pressure to act or present a certain way because you are now married. You've get sort of like you've reached the mark, like at the
Yes.
outside state of happiness. So you should be that. Otherwise, if
Yes.
you're not, you something is wrong. Do you ever
Yeah.
feel like?
Um, well, I don't know. I think, okay, for me, I don't feel that way.
Okay.
And I think it's because I've never been bothered much by what people thought about my relationship status. You know,
Right.
I got married late according to societal standards. I was 34 when I got married, and
Mhm.
by that time, people are already saying all types of whatever they want to say. But I was happy in my situation then, and I think having been happy in my situation then was part of the reason why I was able to move on to a new situation and still be
Right.
happy and not be bothered. In fact, I don't even know if people care if I'm happily married or not because,
Right. Right.
well, mind your own business anyway. Like I don't know what people think about it, but I
Right.
do know that there's definitely a pressure to say, especially for us women, we must get married. You can have as many degrees as you want. You can buy
Mhm.
yourself all these like a house, a car, or whatever. But people
Yeah.
just feel no, you can't be happy unless you have a man.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yes.
which doesn't always translate.
Yeah. Um. So I think that another thing I'm going to ask you. I think that not caring what people say is great, and it's a good way to live your life. I mean, most times that we find ourselves in a bad position or in a stressful situation is because we're trying to live life for other people and how
Yeah.
other people want
Mm.
your life to look like. But at the right now, what I'm thinking about is people that say they're happily married when they aren't. So we're talking about you're in a relationship that looks good on paper, or when you go outside, you try to make it seem like you are, and so you exaggerate and you show the movie sort of lifestyle. And so people like that who say they're happily married and keep pretending, aren't they the problem right now? Because I'm really focusing or trying to focus on the fact that we don't say we are happily married, and therefore we are not learning about how to be happily married because of it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just find out: do you feel that those people that are pretending to be happily married are stopping us from expressing ourselves in the way that we should, and should we stop saying it just to remove that pressure?
Well, look, I think okay. Certainly, there's a lot of people who pretend to be happily married, and
Mm.
I think it still then just goes back to societal expectations, where there's a certain stigma attached to divorcing, walking away from your marriage is looked at. People look at you sideways for it,
Yeah, yeah,
and it always seems as if the woman is the one with the problem or something like
right.
that in most cases. So that Shona say where they say gomira oribo, right?
Yeah,
So a lot
yeah.
of women do that, and then they pretend to be happily married, and it's also
Mm,
those same women who also like put pressure on other women to be married because
right.
jeune status or something that I don't know, right? Where
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
oh, as long as we are like a missus, it's something to be, I don't know, it's an achievement of some kind or whatever.
yeah,
But I think, so it just makes for a generation or generations of women who are unhappily married, but possibly feeling forced to express a happiness that they really don't have.
yeah.
So
So they're
it,
pressured, they're being pressured, or they feel pressure to keep
mm,
maintaining that pretense because everyone else is not talking about
yes,
the fact that they are unhappily married if they are.
yes,
So
yes.
so so now we don't even know who say if people that are saying they're happily married are really. So that's why
If
we
they
look.
are or if they aren't, yeah.
Yes. So we're just looking at you sideways, thinking, Sandra is saying happily
Maybe
married.
she's just making this stuff up.
Is she not just covering up and thinking Kuti she's the only one who's not, so she just needs to continue saying she is, you know?
Um, yeah, okay. See, it's complicated. Like you said, okay, some people are pretending to be happily married. On the other side, there's people who are happily married but afraid to say they're happily married because
Yeah,
there's still actually a stigma attached to being happily married. It's like, you're living in fantasy land. You don't know what you're talking about. Just
yeah,
give
yeah.
in. like yeah, speaking of that baby shower that I was at yesterday,
Yeah,
so this lady actually said to me, "Ah, Auntie Michiri Banyowan, I've been at it for like 20 years. Muchazo 2000." And I'm
yeah,
thinking, lady, I am not married to your husband. So I don't know
yeah.
what you're talking about. I'm not gonna have anything to tell you.
Because I
And
can't, we can't compare a
I
potato and a tomato.
yes, and I think, look,
Yeah,
it's also important to, it is important for us to start speaking positively about marriage, right? It's a good thing. It's a blessing. It's if you are with the right person, it is a good thing.
right,
But I think there also has to not be so much pressure on women or even men to get
right,
married when they're not ready, because that's what makes for unhappy marriages, pambirap, right? So I think it's important, and particularly in the I will speak for Zimbabwean society because that's what I know, right? I think we are now a generation of women that doesn't have anything positive to say about our men. But also at the end of the day, right? You want a good man. Are you a good
right,
woman? What have
right,
you done to deserve this guy? Why are you also like, why do you find yourself attracting a certain type of man? It's also something for you to think about, right?
right,
What are
right,
you giving out that makes this kind of person gravitate towards you, right? And if all we are looking at are the negatives, it also becomes very difficult to find a good guy, because our distrust, our bitterness, or whatever, it also shows. When you meet different men or whatever, they're already hearing this type of things like, men cheat, what. So why am I gonna want to be with you if you've already made up your decision about me as an individual, but you're generalizing it, so
yeah.
much. So yeah, we need to start speaking more positively about our Zimbabwean men.
About our men in general. They're not all
About our men
trash.
in general.
There are men that are toxic, just like there are women that are toxic. And
Yes,
like we've
absolutely.
been saying, I just want to jump on what you're saying is you need to also check yourself and take your, just check if the responsibility that you are taking from the bad
Yeah.
issues that you've gone through,
Mm.
because that then leaves room for people who are actually good to be able to express themselves. Because sometimes you get people that just like, you know what, what's the use of being a good man if everyone is just going to say we're trash anyway? So
Mm-hmm.
we don't know if our negativity is actually not creating or making this problem never go away of these unhappy marriages. But we need to be very authentic and be able to express ourselves in the correct way, because actually we won't be growing anyway. But let me go to the comment section and see what the guys are saying.
Right.
Josie says friendship is key. There are times when we fall out with hubby and we sometimes break the ice by saying, may I speak to my friend now, not my spouse? Law works all the time. Oh, that's a good
That's
one.
great. Yeah. It's a good
So
one.
yeah, because when you're on the spouse level, the expectations are so high and we forget to
Emotions are
just
also very
express.
high. Mm.
Yeah, I like that. Thanks for that, Josie. I hope you guys are learning. Um, those that are happily married to
I see Josie is with me on the happily married part.
oh, Josie's happily married. We see you, sister. We see you.
See
Um,
you.
and there's someone saying at times one can actually be happily married, but because there's so much news about unhappiness that one starts to think that either it's their imagination and they are blind to something, one might actually start looking for things that are not there because apparently what they have is a myth. Ish, guys, I'm so sorry. I did say
100%.
being happily married was
100.
a myth.
100%. Like I agree with you, Facebook user, 100%. I actually said it recently, like when I was speaking to Peter about this show, and that people say so much negativity about being married that at some point you'd start to wonder, are you the dumb one? Like, are you missing something here? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is this possible? Like, why is everything cool between us? Like, are we just is
Wow,
something
those are very
brewing?
good problems.
They are good problems to have, yes. But like she said, you start to think maybe, you're missing something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you could start sabotaging your own marriage because you're like, you start
Start
probing
looking
on things that are
around.
not there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
start
start looking
looking
for
around.
things.
Why is your phone
Sure.
ringing at 7 at night? Who's calling you?
Mm. Because you just want this whole hard marriage to come to you. So
Yeah,
interesting enough, Ruby, you use the word, I think that's you there. um, I hope I can read my friend's writing correctly. that you said not it sometimes feels like it's your imagination, and
Mm,
it was interesting that you used that word because when you are also not happy, you also feel like, or especially with, and I talk about my story, you also feel like it's your imagination. So I
mm,
think sometimes we fail to be in the present. What
yeah,
I'm just hearing now is a lot of us are living in the future or living for people, but we are not present with our partners to
yeah.
take in the feeling, the actual feeling. If you're feeling happy, embrace it. It's okay. You don't have to go back into the past where you weren't happy, or to start
Mm,
to try to start thinking about other things that could go wrong in your mind, and then that takes you away from the present.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's why people are saying it feels like you're imagining your happy marriage. You're not, Cassandra.
Yes.
You and Peter are happy, okay? It's
No,
okay.
it takes you a while to actually come to a place where you're like, okay, this is it. And I think, most of us have been in relationships that were not great, right? Where you might even have thought you were happy, but there were like unhealthy things happening in the relationship. There
Right.
was toxicity in the
Yeah, yeah,
relationship, but you mistook it for passion or something, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
you think that is all that drama is part of the passion and what happens in relationships. So you're also, I mean, I'm going to honestly say that when I got into a relationship with Peter, I was used to being in a dramatic relationship, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I was just waiting for him to give me some drama,
You're like,
and
that's the normal.
it's because you're used to this toxic type of relationship that
Yeah,
like you're saying about sabotaging yourself. You're even now trying to sabotage the relationship because you're not used to it and you cannot
yeah.
recognize maturity and being happy in a safe relationship.
Right. Right.
And
So
uh
I actually am saying that's good. This is what I'm saying. We need to hear the story on the other side, because when you don't realize, we can become toxic because of our past. The
yes,
only relationship you've known is a toxic relationship, but because you never dealt with it, you can go into the other relationship being toxic because you don't understand the
yeah,
other side of relationships, and if no one ever tells you, and if that other person is not very able to help you with your toxicity, they might end up leaving and you destroy your relationship. So hearing this is just amazing, guys. I hope you're taking notes. You can be the toxic one.
no,
And
you can absolutely be. And I think it's because we've normalized being in these dramatic relationships where weird things go down all the time,
yeah, yeah.
where you shout at each other and stuff like that. And it's
Mhm.
not normal, guys. And you don't realize this until you're in an actual normal relationship. And that's when you also realize that being in a safe and happy relationship also comes with finding a partner that balances you,
Okay.
you know, where if you're the toxic one, so to speak, you with your drama and stuff like that,
Mm.
if your partner's character is such that he balances you in a healthy way, um, in a relationship, it's either you bring out the best in each other or the worst in each other.
Yes.
So your job is to find the person who brings out the best in you. Because you can be a toxic person, but once you meet the person who inspires,
It's living.
the positive side of you, you
Yeah,
start to
yeah,
realize that, hey man, drama is not even necessary. Like I don't need to do all this. And you
yeah.
become a better person and a happier person as well.
Right. And yeah, I think that's actually the best thing that I have heard right now, to say But for people that have not yet gotten into the marriages, not people that are married, you
Yeah.
need to be very intentional about looking at things like that. That this person does this person balance me, or are they just trying to change me? They because people can see notice that you're toxic, but their approach to it is what you need to check and what you
Yes,
need to be
exactly.
aware of.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can they tell you the truth in love? Can they respect you and your toxicity enough to help you with it? And if
Yeah.
they're not willing to take that baggage, that's okay. You can't then
Yes,
force
that's
them,
okay.
because when you get
Definitely.
into the relationship with a person, they're just going to bring out the worst in you, and you probably bring out the worst in them.
Yeah.
So,
Most
wow.
people are not even terrible people. Most people are not
Yeah,
terrible people. We're just mismatched.
yeah. We need to take
I mean,
time.
yeah, and I think even when you look at these things where people say, no, it's a matter of time before you become unhappy, and he does A, B, C, D, and stuff like that. I think
Yeah.
it's a matter of being mismatched, because even when you look at your previous relationships, I mean, if
Mm,
you're going to really take stock and be willing to accept the part you played in whatever went wrong, you'll realize that, wait, John wasn't a bad guy. He
yeah.
was 21. He was young. So he was still experimenting. So he cheated. Did I expect a 21-year-old to get all serious and get married to me? Like,
Yeah.
you then just start to realize certain things. Most people they're not bad people. You're just not a good match. You maybe
Yeah.
just don't inspire the best out of that person. They don't inspire the best, energy to come out. You don't
Yeah.
inspire the best one to come out because you're mismatched, not necessarily because they're a terrible person.
Yeah, and you must know Angie well enough to know that this is what's happening. This person is bringing the worst out of me, because you know you. But if you
Exactly.
also don't know yourself,
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. Exactly.
yeah,
It has to start with you being aware of who you are and
yeah,
realizing, no, listen, this guy, like, I just become a crazy person and that's
yeah,
not who I want to be.
yeah.
So you step away from the situation.
Don't ignore the red flags, guys. So Jesse's saying, yes, I was right. That was Rumbi. Rumbi's I've also seen that people don't say it's which happily married because of too many naysayers who say it will end in tears. People can be
Mhm.
stigmatized for saying they're happy. Jesse, I want to find out from people, guys. Tell me, do you think we should then stop saying it just because there's naysayers? Because I would like to hear it more. Because if I'm aspiring to be happily married, I don't think that it helps me to be believing it's a myth. Because the reason why we believe it's a myth is because the people that are vocalizing things about their marriages are only saying the negative. We have fewer people attesting to being happily married, and so our children, the generations to come, are just going to be thinking marriages, because there's so many divorces, because no one
Yeah.
is actually saying I'm happily married. It's a myth. So we just start saying monogamy is realistic. Marriage is an institution for people that are brave,
Yeah.
etc. Those, that's not true. We can have If you can have good relationships with your friends, why can't
Yes.
you have a good relationship with the
Exactly.
person that you've devoted your life to? You
No,
know?
I don't. People should absolutely start speaking about being happily married more often. Look, the fact that
Right.
you're happy today doesn't necessarily mean that nothing is ever going to go wrong. And I think that's where the fear comes from, right? Because I'm thinking, okay, Sandra, you're happy today, but everybody's saying all this and that. So maybe in
Yeah.
the next 20 years, you won't be happy. But okay, if I'm not happy, so what? But
Yes.
right now,
Yes.
in this moment, I am.
Right.
So I should be able to speak about it without being judged for it or without people coming back at me with negative vibes. But I think even if they do, like, I think for me, even just being on this show has made me come to a place where I'm like, you know what? I'm happy. I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And if somebody comes back at me with something negative, like, that's more of a them problem, not a
Yeah.
Sandro problem. Like, it's
Right.
okay. And if things go wrong down the line, that's a me problem, not yours. So stay out
Right.
of it anyway. So I think,
Savage.
I
Everyone
think,
was laughing at your comment that you said when you responded to that lady who you said, I'm not married to your husband.
and
Famous Sandra, savage responses.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I think it would be nice to be around more women saying, "My husband is great. My husband is amazing. He doesn't cheat on me. He doesn't beat me.
yeah,
He
yeah.
doesn't do whatever. He's amazing with our kid, with our children, or whatever." I think it's important to have those conversations because it's
Yes,
what makes people realize that good men exist, good relationships exist, good marriages exist. And
yes.
it's time for
Let's
people
balance
to
it out.
start. Yes. And I think
Yeah.
the problem is actually mostly with us women. I think we're the ones who are mostly talking about all this negativity. Well, maybe I don't spend enough time around men, but I haven't really like heard men telling each other that eventually your wife is going to cheat. I've never heard that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
um,
I think you're so right. It's just the story has been told from one side, and we don't have the full picture. And without the full picture, I think there's so much bias there. We all know our stats. So
yeah,
we need to intentionally, if we want to help ourselves as women, even as we're having these conversations, we need to make sure that we have the full story. And we want or we need women that are happily married to say that because we need to also look at being gracious. Mistakes happen, so you are happy today and you're not happy 3 years down the line. But doesn't take away from the people that you are with your husband right now. It can mean
yes,
that temptations came. It can mean things happened, changed, and different pressures happened. And
yeah,
so we just need to be gracious that you are on that level. Where no one should be then saying, "We told you so." These things don't last. It doesn't
yeah,
then define the institute that way. I
yeah.
don't. Yeah. Oh wow, I'm learning a lot, and there's so many comments here. Let me see. People are laughing. um, there is, if there is no drama, to not we are no boa.
Yes.
So so what people are agreeing with you that we have normalized drama in a relationship and we interpret it as passion. I'm actually laughing right now because just last week I was asking my partner why we have never broken up before in all the time we've been in a relationship. With all the fights and the disagreement, wouldn't it be normal for us to call it quits at least once?
Because you need that drama to make you feel alive.
They wanted to create the problem. You're like, why do you want to break up and make up, my friend?
But you
Is
see,
that
that's
really what you
because
want?
also, right? It's also maybe not being used to being appreciated enough for someone not to leave you at the first sign of trouble. We are so convinced that men are not good to a point
Yeah.
where we don't see it when we have a good one.
Mm,
You're just trying to, like, you can't, maybe some people are like, it's failing to feel worthy of happiness.
okay.
So you think, nah, man, something is wrong with this guy. Why? Like, what's going on? And that's
Yeah.
how we miss a lot of the good guys. And that's why a lot of women are out there talking crap about men and how they are no good. You've probably had a couple of good ones come your way, sister, but you
Yeah. And
just
then you're like, I
weren't
know
ready.
boa.
Yes, you're like, this one is boring. I need some drama, like a slap or two once in a while. I don't know.
And even I think you can even tell yourself that you can't trust him because he's playing games. Because
Yeah,
you
he loves
don't
to really
we
prove.
haven't
That's
normalized.
why.
Yeah. We haven't normalized saying that they are good guys somewhere. I mean, there's good women that are raising good men and that
Yes,
have decided to be good. They are feminist men even. So
yes,
we
like my
we don't
husband.
mm, yeah, your husband is like, yeah, it's special. So so what we're saying is we need to be able to represent these special guys, the feminists, the people that can be loving and not
Yeah,
make them, not look at them and feel like they're liars just because society has told us it's not true. We
yeah.
want the guys that are bad, but we also talk about them in a negative way. So what are we actually saying? Can we,
And
yeah,
you know what else I've noticed, right? Is that also women are paranoid, right?
okay.
Some women don't want to say they're happy because they're afraid the next woman will be like, hey, so John is a good guy. So
Ah,
yeah, maybe, you know. I
your fam.
No, it's real. I mean, if you all you need to do is sit on social media and go into one of these female groups, and you will see how people be like, no, you can't like say positive things about your husband. In fact, didn't we all like sort of grow up hearing these things about don't talk to your friends about your marriage?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
why not?
yeah.
Like, who am I going to talk to about it if I can't talk to my friends? So,
Friends.
because it's either if you tell them the negatives, they're going to go behind your back and laugh at you or something like that. If you tell them the
Oh.
positives, now they're going to want your man. But like, guys, who's a grown up, he can say no in
Yeah,
the event that you've got such poor taste in friends that you have the type of friends who want to take your man.
right.
But you should at least have a good enough husband for him to say, "Lady, excuse me, I am married."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And we should also trust that those ones are there. So we always sort of on the on social media or when we have discussions say that men are weak, men are
Yeah.
children, men. So
Imagine
it's
that.
almost like
Children, it's
it's almost like
children.
it's almost like we're saying men don't have brain. They sometimes
Yeah.
sort of sometimes stop using their brain just because there's a beautiful woman that is throwing themselves at them. But
Which is not true.
honestly, honestly, these guys, we need to give them credit.
Yes.
What is it about men that makes us think that we can think for them and we can create safe spaces for ourselves so that men don't get tempted. I feel like when you're busy doing that, that's when you miss your happiness because
Yeah,
you're
because we
focusing.
we
Yeah,
think that we can control everything. Like, listen, honey, if your man wants to cheat, you can build like a wall up to I don't know where to try and keep
yeah,
him in, but he's going to get out.
right, right,
So it's not your job to try and stop your man from cheating. That's his job. He's the one who's got a wife. It's your
right.
job to stop yourself from cheating. I think that's enough work for one person, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And you cannot find your happiness if all you're doing is trying to stop him from doing certain things.
Mm, mm,
It just will never work. So this is why it's important to be happy first. Concentrate on being a happy Sandra before you can start trying to build your happiness based on somebody else not cheating on you or doing whatever things the way that you want them done or something like that. So,
right.
love yourself, be happy with yourself. Try not to cheat on your husband so that you don't have to worry about him cheating because you're going to trust he's also putting an effort in that department.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We need to stop being paranoid, but ultimately, we also need to just choose to have self love and choose better friends and colleagues and that. Because as
Yeah.
long as we are aware, which is what we're trying to do here, guys, being self aware and understanding what issues are affecting everybody, that you're not isolated and it's not a problem that you're dealing with alone, we will be able to realize that there's certain things that you put on yourself, expectations on yourself and your friends, your spouses, that are unrealistic and unnecessary.
Yes.
Um, I think Josie here is saying, no, we shouldn't stop. We need to normalize being happy. So we shouldn't stop saying we're happily married. In fact,
Yeah.
we encourage that more people start saying it. I hope, my dear friends, those that are married, you are candid and open with us like Sandra has and Josie and and
Yes,
Vimbai. Vimbai,
I'm waiting for Josie to type that I'm happily married, or like Wimbai just did.
no, Vimbai has just said, now I understand why I don't have girlfriends. I'm happily married. So, Vimbai, what are you saying? Are you saying that women tend to stay away from women that say are happily married so many times? I actually, I can see how that could happen, where women feel like, this one is always talking about her husband. I know
Yeah.
Vimbai was Pepe. We all know about Vimbai and how she's so happily married.
Well done
But
to
like,
her.
yeah, but I feel like maybe women tend to then feel like, oh, she's always she doesn't relate to us, so there's nothing for us to talk about because
Because
we
misery
like,
loves company, right? Misery loves
yeah,
company. If they're unhappy, they might also want you to be unhappily married so we can all be together in our misery.
yeah. And these are the guys that says this stuff. Agajigiswa.
Yes,
When the
yes.
guy is good, when the guy is good, ajigiswa. At
Yeah.
Shadiku,
Mm,
but
mm.
now at Shadiku accept that men like them actually exist. You're like, when they
Exactly.
exist, ajigiswa. Really?
Mm.
So what are we trying to look for? It's like or the guys that you're saying you want to marry, where are they? if
I think
everyone was
basically
behaving that way,
everybody has to be unhappily married for everybody to believe that, yeah, so your guy is normal. Yeah.
yeah.
That's why, you know.
Whew, we are so complex as humans, but I hope that we are learning from each other. And yay, Josie, yes, confirmed she's happily married. So can
Right.
you guys? We have so many happily married people here.
They were
Whoever
just
is
waiting for
happily
me to
married,
say it first.
yes, we needed the brave one to tell us that it's okay. But I can vouch for Vimbai. Vimbai has always been saying it, and I love it. And I mean, Vimbai has told us since I think 4 years ago, and nothing has changed. She's still happy married, and you
Well
can see
done
her
to
husband.
them.
Yes, and so if you don't have people like Vimbai and Sandra showing you that it is possible, you will probably continue to think it's a myth. And I think we need to demystify that, guys. Josie has just come back and she says, in the first days of dating, I thought he's too good to be true and tried to dig dirt on him myself. Jaira Ricky. So
Yes, I think she's right on that. Jairama Shurugu, we've become so accustomed to, like, these horrible relationships where you
yeah,
fail to
yeah.
see the good ones.
No, so you guys, you need also to stop being paranoid. If you are good, there are good people out there, but you just have to be very self-aware so that you don't miss red flags where you truly
Yes,
found someone who's
absolutely.
broken,
Yeah.
right? But if you are aware and intentional and you are open and authentic, even if you do find a shurugu who's pretending, it will come out. I mean, it also sometimes there's a spiritual aspect where you you can pray about it. So for God to show or reveal that this person is not right for you, because people cannot pretend forever, guys.
Yes,
And
that's true.
yeah, so the journey of self-love helps you to be able to identify people, but let's not box people. Let's not um go in there with a conclusion already, and then we're just confirming our bias, which is created by our groups as women, where we are talking about the men as a general bracket trash, right?
Yeah.
I think
All
we
men
need
are
to
trash.
stop.
Hashtag.
Yeah, because you're saying your dad is trash, you're saying your brother is trash, you're also saying the men that you're going to raise yourself, teaching them the values that you want, is also
Mm,
trash. So there's no redeemable quality for them, and we need to stop that if we want to create a space for us to be happily married.
yeah.
So, Sandra, I'm going to ask for last remarks. Um, but we've got another. But here, I'm happy to married 11 years. Yay! Oh, yeah, these guys are happy. They're a very beautiful couple. I know them.
Okay,
And
we're
I
happy
go
for
ahead by the guru.
you.
But it's amazing, guys. Thank you
That's
so
what
much
we
for
love to
sharing.
hear. That's what we love
Mm,
to hear. It's 11 years and going strong. It's possible. We
right.
have Casey there. She's happily married. She's not out here telling us, but wait till you get to year 7 or whatever. Things are
And
still
things
going
will fall
on.
apart. It can work out. You will have your downs, you will have your ups, but if
Yes.
you're still committed to the person, you are happily
Mhm.
married. I think you guys, maybe if you're still wanting to define what happily married is, let's just have something that we can continuously telling our kids, because we misconstrue happily married be meaning that every day is a party. Every day
Yeah.
is not a party in any relationship, but we can be happily married.
Yeah.
So Sandra, last remarks. What can you say?
Happiness in a marriage is a work in progress. You work on it every single day and you work on it together. And as long as you stay friends and continue to be friends, happiness will not evade you. That's it. I don't think there's any like bigger secret there besides the friendship aspect.
Awesome. Sandra, it was so amazing having you here, and everyone in the audience. Thank you so much for sharing. My takeaway messages are, like Sandra said, happiness is a you thing, and you need to bring friendship into this. When you're dating a friend or when you marry a friend, you need to get to that level where you're compassionate about how they are, and you need to be intentional about knowing them. And I also want to double click on something that I learned or realize now is, let's be present. If you're present, you will know that you're not imagining your happiness. You will know that you're not imagining the toxicity should it be there. and let's not taint or change the narrative, or sorry, and create a narrative that happily married is a myth, because honestly, you can only speak for yourself.
Yeah.
We are not married to the same people. If your person is toxic and you guys chose, you are unequally yoked, that could be terrible, yes. But on the other hand, on the other side, from people that you don't know that have been keeping quiet, people are happily married. So let's believe in it, because that's what we all want. Otherwise, we are wasting our time trying to prepare ourselves for these happily married situations. And for the audience, I think Mbai says, doable, 12 years and going at it strong. He's my best friend.
Aw.
Aww, Santa. And someone says, thank you, Sandra, so bravely reminding us that happy marriage is real. Thank you, Sandra.
Aw.
And just says, and happiness in marriage isn't a competition, Maskana. It means different things to us, and we aren't married to be to the same people.
Absolutely.
Again,
Yeah.
amen, amen, amen. Sandra is so wise. And with
Thank
that,
you.
we'll send you off. We'll send you off. Well done. You guys can obviously reach out to Sandra for any consulting business that you might have. She's a
Please
lawyer, and,
do.
and she makes law sound fun. You can read her articles on her blog, and yeah, she can help you out with documents, Zoom errands. Check out the link that I posted on the biography. So till next time, guys, thank you so much. Sandra, it was amazing. And
Thank
Peter,
you
we
for
know you're
having me.
listening. Thank you so much for being a feminist and for showing us that we can believe in men.
Thank you for having me, Angie. It's been amazing.
See you again next time. Hey,
All right.
cheers.